Hi guys, I'm Lokamitran. Hope everyone is fine. Today we are going to see about a Tamil classic poem which was written 2000 years ago. The first line of the poem is Yadum Ure Yavarum Kelir. Now, this line was quoted by two important people of this nation. The first one is Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, as you know, the missile man. He quoted this in European Union Parliament, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi quoted this in United Nations General Assembly last year. So it's not just about the first line which is good. The upcoming lines are even more great than the first one. So this particular poem comes under a collection of poems called Purananuru, which in turn contains 400 poems in it, and this poem is one among those 400 poems. So this particular poem was written by Kanniyan Pungundranar, and before going into this poem, this poem was written 2000 years ago. Remember this.
யாதும் ஊரே யாவரும் கேளீர்.
Now this line means that all are our places and all are our people. In this modern era, people call it as universal brotherhood. In this era, we tend to differentiate and discriminate people according to their caste, religion, state, and the country they come from. But in those days, people had that maturity and intellect to say we all are one, and this is really astonishing.
தீதும் நன்றும் பிறர் தரவாரா.
Both good and bad does not come from others. For example, a person walked on a path where it was filled with thorns, and suddenly a thorn pricked him, and he said, "A thorn pricked me." Actually, the thorn did not prick him. He walked on the path where the thorns were there. This is similar to our life. We are responsible for both good and bad things which happen.
நோதலும் தனிதலும் அவற்றோரன்ன.
Now this means both sadness and comfort from sadness does not come from others. When you let yourself get hurt and you can't search for those healing words from others, you have those things within you. You have the problem and you have the solution. In fact, nobody can't hurt you without your own permission.
சாதலும் பொதுவது அன்றே.
Now this means that death is not a new thing, because from the moment of our birth till the very end, the one thing which walks along with us is death. So don't get feared by death, and it is the only thing which we all share as common. Everyone has a birth and a death.
வாழ்தல் இனிதென மகிழ்ந்தென்றும் இளமே.
Oh, what a life I've got. I've got millions of money. Who's higher than me? I've got this and I've got that. So don't have this type of mindset in life, because like dawn and dusk are happiness and sorrow. You never know what happens next in life. So don't get too excited for anything.
முனிவின் இன்னா தென்றலும் இளமே.
Sadness is not the only thing which accompanies a person in his life forever. In fact, life is not forever. So don't think like my life is full of miseries. Just think that even this is going to pass by.
மின்னொடு வானம் தந்துளி தலையீ ஆனாது கல்பொருது மிரங்கு மல்லல் பேரியாற்று நீர் வழிப்படோவும் புனைபோல் ஆருயிர் முறை வழிப்படோவும் என்பது.
Now this line means that with lightning in the sky, small drops of water fall from the sky, which in turn combine to form a ferocious river. Now this ferocious river carries away huge rocks to small stones with it. Likewise, our life is like a small boat traveling through this river, which overcomes a lot of twists and turns, and at some places the river might be really smooth and some places it's really harsh. So is our life.
திரர்வோர் காட்சியில் தெளிந்தனம்.
Now here the author says the above lines written are by the understanding of the books and poems written by the wise men. Now we have to note one thing here, because the author himself wrote this poem 2000 years back. Now he refers that all this was possible because of the books and poems which he had during those times. So what type of knowledge this civilization had by then?
ஆகலின் மாட்சியின் பெரியோரை வியத்தலும் இலமே சிறியோரை இகழுதல் அதனினும் இலமே.
Now this line means that we don't have to look up to people who are above us. At the same time, we don't have to look down on people who are below us. We don't have to respect just because a person has so much of money or in a higher rank of status, and that doesn't mean that we don't or we should discriminate or look down on people who are not so up to our level. We must treat everyone equally, and this is a quality which we all must possess. All the explanations which were given above were according to my understanding of this poem, and by taking references of people who have done studies upon this. And on the conclusion note, I like to say, as the above lines were written 2000 years ago, this is not just the only poem which has this knowledge. There are n number of poems in this Tamil language, and this is just one among those many. And let's give life to this poem by practicing it in our daily life. Thank you. Cheers.